Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I want to begin by acknowledging we're on Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'll be providing some introductory remarks. Jay Shaw will provide you with an update, and then we're both available to answer your questions. Over the last month, we've seen 8,385 new COVID cases in the city of Winnipeg. Our test positivity rate has moved from 8.4% to, as of yesterday, 14%. I want to take the opportunity to just continue to remind all Winnipeggers to be vigilant and stick to those fundamentals that you've heard Jay and I and many others remind you over the last 15 months. I want to begin by offering condolences to the thousands of Manitobans who have lost loved ones to COVID-19. And our thoughts also go out to those fighting COVID-19 at home and in hospital right now, and in particular those in our ICUs here in Manitoba and outside the province of Manitoba. Finally, thanks to all of the healthcare workers in our province and in other provinces, including here at the City of Winnipeg, and especially given it's Paramedic Services Week. I want to give a special thank you to our paramedics for their invaluable work that they're doing 24/7. I also want to thank our Prime Minister and our federal government for answering the call for urgent support to the province of Manitoba and Winnipeg in our time of need. Our province's healthcare system is in crisis. To minimize the impact on our healthcare system as a community, we have to put a renewed effort on the need to stay at home for at least the next 2 weeks. I also want to pass along a simple request from the healthcare workers that I've spoken with, specifically Doctors Manitoba. Please stay home as much as possible. This is critically important for those who can't get the healthcare treatments that they need because our provincial healthcare system simply doesn't have the capacity right now. Yesterday, our provincial government extended and tweaked their existing public health orders until 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, June 12th. While I continue to support the calls to close non-essential businesses and to see that the province provide corresponding supports for those businesses affected, regrettably, our provincial government hasn't taken the actions many have been calling for some time. Nonetheless, I'm asking Winnipeggers, please stay home, only go out for essentials, notwithstanding what the provincial health orders may allow you to do. I also want to once again call on our provincial government to double, if not triple, the fines for first-time offenders for violations of the provincial public health orders. I'm also going to, again today, call for a super fine of $100,000 for those that organize public events for the purposes of violating the province's public health orders. Doing so would have two effects, in my view. One, it would act as a greater disincentive for those that are organizing events for the purposes of violating the province's public health orders. And secondly, it would show respect for all of those Winnipeggers who are following the rules. They will see and understand that there will be accountability for those that intentionally violate the province's public health orders. And so I'm once again calling on our provincial government to take those actions today. Finally, I just want to acknowledge the work of our community service ambassadors. We really do appreciate their efforts to help educate and also to support our bylaw officers, among other things. These support efforts really are a key part of helping residents comply with the province's public health orders in our parks. And I just want to thank them for their work, and I know Jay will give you an update in a few moments. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jay. Thanks. Merci and miigwech.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. My name is Jay Shaw. I'm the Assistant Chief of Emergency Management for the City of Winnipeg. In light of the extension of the provincial public health orders, the closures of city recreation facilities will continue. The provincial public health orders also state that outdoor pools, wading pools, splash pads must remain closed at this time. Our Community Service Ambassador program will continue in our parks through the extension of the latest public health orders. They continue to be deployed in Assiniboine Park, St. Vital, and Kildonan Park. From May 19th to May 25th, the CSAs had nearly 2,250 interactions with park users, with 35 of those interactions requiring escalation to our bylaw enforcement officers. Those escalations were related to group gathering sizes. However, I am pleased to see that more than 98% of those interactions were positive. We want to continue to see people use and enjoy our parks during these times, and are happy to see them following the public health orders. The new provincial public health orders also state that employers should allow employees to work from home wherever possible. We have been committed to protecting our employees throughout this pandemic, and have equipped as many employees as possible to work from home where it makes sense for the operations of that department. The city has approximately 1,800 employees working remotely over the last 16 months. While this number has fluctuated slightly throughout the pandemic, we have continued to encourage those who have operationally been able to work from home to do so. However, with this new statement in the provincial health orders, we're having our management teams complete another review to determine if there are any other opportunities to allow additional employees to work from home. It is important to remember that due to the nature of the services provided by the city, this option isn't available to the vast majority of our employees, as we provide critical services to residents and businesses which must continue, even during a pandemic. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our hardworking paramedics. This week is Paramedic Services Week, a week to recognize the dedication and contributions of these selfless first responders who were there for Winnipegs on their worst days. We have over 600 paramedics who have played a significant role on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. Through it all, our EMS personnel have continued to provide high-quality pre-hospital care to all residents in need of emergency medical assistance. Being a paramedic isn't an easy job. They never know what a day may bring. Our thanks go to all of our paramedics for their dedication to our community and our residents. Finally, I want to thank everyone who has continued to be diligent in the fight against COVID-19. Thank you to those of you who have taken the time to get vaccinated. Thank you to those of you who have remained committed to washing your hands, wearing a mask, and staying close to home. And thank you to those of you who have limited your contacts. I know this hasn't been easy for anyone, but we will get to the other side of this soon. We'll now take your questions from the media. Thank you.
Joyanne from the Winnipeg Free Press.
Hello. I guess one of the things I'm wondering is on the staffing part that you just mentioned. You said most of the staff are actually involved in essential services. So, I mean, is there really any more than, I think you said 1,800 that have already worked from home at least some point during the pandemic that could?
Potentially, yes, Joyanne, and that's why we're just going to do a quick management review. There might be an opportunity to use more innovation and technology to be able to get a few more people working from home. We're always looking through the lens of continual improvement, so we're going to do that management review already, and take a look at it. But 1,800 people were working from home out of 10,000, when the majority of those staff are frontline providers that don't have that ability. So we want to thank our frontline workers that don't have that ability to work from home, and we'll encourage everywhere where we can to follow these public health guidelines, the spirit and the rules. So.
And when you look at the guidelines, to me, and maybe I'm missing something, it was immediately clear from the press release what those requirements are. Did you get a specific direction from the province and what they want to see in terms of people working from home, and some kind of indication that there could be penalties if the city doesn't and any workplace doesn't ensure enough people work from home?
Yeah, I think that's probably more a question for the province. My team right now is interpreting the orders, working with the province, asking some questions. But I think the message is clear. If you can work from home and you can do that without impacting business or your operations, try to do that. We need people to stay home as much as possible following the public health orders. So I agree with the message. We can take a look, and once we get more clarification on the exact meaning and spirit of the orders, then we'll be able to follow up on that.
James from the Winnipeg Sun.
Mr. Mayor and Jay, what's your message to residents who are planning to attend this anti-vax rally this evening? Go
home. It's that simple. Don't go to events like this that are intended to violate the province's public health orders. There are consequences. I think the province had another golden opportunity yesterday to come out with stronger fines. Unfortunately, they didn't do so. As you know, James, I've been calling for the province to double the fines, but also to introduce what I would call a super fine for the organizers of events that are intended for the purposes of violating the province's public health orders, and that fine should be $100,000. It should be significant, and people should be dissuaded from going to events like this. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but also because there's going to be more significant financial consequences to them if they take those actions. And right now, the fines, in my view, they're not strong enough, and so we see what's happening as a result. I would just encourage people to not attend events like that. It's obviously you're putting your own health at risk. You're also showing a tremendous amount of disrespect to Winnipeggers and Manitobans who are following the rules, who are frustrated when they see events like this because they're tired and they're exhausted from having to live in this reality that we're living in right now. When they see these events happening, it definitely rattles their sensitivities and it frustrates them, and I'm right there with them, which is why I had hoped that our provincial officials yesterday would have acted and doubled the fines and created this super fine of $100,000 for those that are organizing these events. I hope they still do so, and will continue to advocate in that respect.
Thank you.
John from CTV.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we understand that the city may have sought an injunction to prevent that rally at the Forks. What can you tell us about that?
I don't have any of those details, John, so it's not something I could speak to.
Can you just talk about the super fine? Do you feel that would be proportionate, I suppose, for... obviously we understand the seriousness of, blatantly violating public health orders, but is that dollar amount going to be considered, I guess, fair and proportionate by a court, in essence, because it could sort of bankrupt someone if, they had to pay it?
Well, I mean, right now the fines for not wearing a mask in indoor public spaces is $298. It's $1,296 for individuals for violating the province's public health orders. This includes sole proprietorships and partnerships, and $5,000 for tickets issued to corporations. I think obviously there's two reasons for introducing this super fine of $100,000. One is, and the hope is that it's effective, is it dissuades people from intentionally organizing events for the purposes of violating the province's public health orders. So that is a pretty high threshold. We're not talking about people who accidentally forget to put a mask on, but if you're actually organizing an event, intentionally bringing people together for the purposes of violating the province's health orders, there's got to be more significant fines than there are right now, because what's happening right now, it's not working. It's not working as effectively as Winnipeggers want. And not only do we want to create that disincentive, but we also want to show some respect to Winnipeggers who are following the rules. And right now, many feel disrespected by the enforcement measures and fines that the province has set out.
Joyanne from the Free Press.
Sorry about that. I just want to follow up on another question that was asked. Sorry, I wasn't sure in my connection cut out there, but there was was there an injunction by the city where they tried to stop the rally?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, Joyanne. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm not aware.
great.
I'm not aware of that. So
Good question
Okay.
for the province.
Yeah.
We're in dialogue, but the Justice Department controls that aspect, and we just encourage people not to attend these rallies.
Okay. Sorry, I thought they said the city had tried to file one, so I was wondering about that.
that
And
that
then,
was John's question, but yeah, we're not aware of any such action by the city of Winnipeg at this time in that respect. So it's
Okay.
not a we can't speak about it, and we know something. I'm not aware of that. So you may want to double check if that's accurate, whether or not city. I suspect that could be another level of government. But
Okay.
we can look into that with legal, but it's not something I'm aware of.
Okay. And then you earlier were urging people to kind of go beyond the provincial public health orders.
Yeah.
How so? What exactly are you kind of urging Winnipeggers to do right now?
Yeah, I know many Winnipeggers, doctors included, have been asking for the province to close non-essential retail. And what I'm saying to Winnipeggers is, notwithstanding the province's unwillingness to take that action, I'm calling on Winnipeggers to exercise their discretion in staying home and only leaving for essential reasons. And so, notwithstanding the fact that the provincial rules may allow you to go out and purchase non-essential retail items, I'm asking Winnipeggers to exercise their discretion and not engage in that level of activity right now. Find other ways to support local businesses. I mean, curbside pickup, online ordering. Find ways to support local businesses. But I'm hoping our provincial government hears the calls from doctors and many others in our community. In the meantime, Winnipeggers can certainly take action on their own to raise the bar that we've been calling be raised.
Just before we leave this round, the rec facilities that are still closed, I believe that there was, if I recall correctly, an announcement already that those would be closed. We're just confirming that they're closed to the extended dates now that the province has made that decision. Yeah. Correct? Like the pools were never slated to open, as far as I recall.
No, you're correct. Where we're at right now is our recreation services are still closed, and when we get line of sight on public health orders that may allow them to start loosening, so those things will happen. In the background, we're trying to be as ready as possible. So whenever that happens, we can get them open as quickly as possible for our residents. So right now they're closed. Stay home, follow the public health orders.
James from the Winnipeg Sun.
No more questions. Thank you.
Thanks, James. John from CTV.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, do you believe that more aggressive action is required by enforcement officers when they see various violations happening? Just two, as you're talking about, for all the other people who are following the rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think many Winnipeggers, myself included, will have strong views on the enforcement measures by law enforcement, but the province's Police Services Act does prohibit politicians from weighing in on the operations of law enforcement. So I have to be mindful and respect that. But it is within the authority of the province to double, if not triple, the fines and to create this super fine for those that are organizing events for the purposes of violating the province's health orders. That is something that is in the discretion of elected officials on Broadway, and that's why I'm urging them to take that action.
Do you think fines alone, though, are going to be adequate for certain individuals who, because they can, plead not guilty, and so even if they are eventually, found guilty, we're talking potentially up to a year before they really face any consequences for their actions. So is there more that could be done immediately to, really prevent the rule breaking?
There are a number of options that are within the jurisdiction of other levels of government, including fines. There is also the possibility of changes to the criminal code. And so I would trust that other levels of government that do have that ability should be considering any and all options to make sure that the provincial public health orders that they've introduced for the purposes of protecting our residents and our community are being fully canvassed. I'm not calling on the province or the federal government to necessarily go down that path, but they should be considering them. And the immediate step that I'm calling for is an increase in the fines.
Joanne, did you have any final questions?
Sorry, I find the button sticks sometimes. And just, I guess, while we're on fines, maybe one more time, there's no response from the province on that, because you've said this a few times now.
They've responded through their press conferences, Joyanne, that they've doubled the fines for repeat offenders. They haven't doubled the fines for first time, and they certainly haven't targeted increased fines for the organizers of events. And those are the ones that are creating these super spreader events. They're the ones that are definitely angering Winnipeggers who are following the rules and who are getting extremely frustrated with what they're seeing, at some of the events that are happening in other cities as well as in our community. And so, unfortunately, I can't tell you why the province has refused to take this action. I honestly, I think people are scratching their heads because, to hear about the number of fines that are given out, nobody should take any pride in the number of fines that are given out. To me, that tells me that the fines aren't acting as a disincentive for people. And so strengthening them is one option that I'm urging them to consider, because I think it would go a long way to creating a disincentive, but it would also show some respect to Winnipeggers who are following the rules.
Okay, and then earlier you were talking about community service ambassadors. You said 2,500 interactions, and then how many tickets were actually given out?
So no tickets, Joanne, but there was, I believe, 35 interactions with that needed to be escalated to our bylaw enforcement. That's primarily because people were gatherings in a way that was breaking the public health orders. So 2,250 positive interactions, 98% happy smiles and good positive interactions, a lot of great communication with residents. But unfortunately, there are some, very limited, but there are some that are still gathering. They may not know the orders, so we're reaching out. We had a lot of good conversations, but mostly what you're seeing is people meeting up in the park, and they're just maybe unaware. But we'll keep getting the message out, and we're going to keep patrolling the parks and helping them understand the orders and be safe.
John, did you have any final questions?
Sorry, just one last question for the mayor. I'm sure, just to play the devil's advocate, I'm sure that some people might say that even if they're wrongly, in their beliefs, that they're just trying to stand up for charter rights and freedom and some such thing. Yeah. Should they be punished, I suppose, whether rightly or wrongly, likely wrongly in this case, but they are feeling like that they're just trying to stand up for people's rights, that they're not trying to make people sick, and that kind of.
Yeah, John, you're not playing devil's advocate. You're asking legitimate questions in this kind of debate, and I respect that. Look, the reality is, in a free and democratic society, Canadians are entitled to voice their views, but what they're not entitled to do is to do it in a way that violates provincial laws, in this case, the provincial public health orders. And so there are many ways in which people can express their views on a whole host of issues. And Canadians have that right and should take every available legal opportunity to express their views as they feel are appropriate. And so you can express your views by posting your thoughts and views online. You can do it in many different ways that don't bring people together in a way that violates the law. And so there absolutely should be consequences for those that are intentionally breaking the law, especially for those that are organizing it and are encouraging it. That's where I think it goes far beyond what the fines are right now, and why I continue to call on the province to create this super fine for those that are organizing these events for the purposes of violating the provincial public health orders.
Hey, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Joanne, just double checking, are you good?
Yes, I am. Thank
Okay,
you.
Perfect, thank you, everybody.
Okay, have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you.